What's up, guys? Rapskyne here. So at this point, I've watched that Halo Infinite multiplayer trailer, or really both of them at this point, like 100+ times, just geeking out and trying to find any small details that might clue us in on what to expect from Infinite's gameplay. So it seems like every day in the community, there is somebody finding something new every day, and it's awesome. I'm really enjoying seeing all the new stuff that people are finding in the background and stuff. So I actually even saw that chickens are indeed confirmed for Halo Infinite. I know everybody was really on the edge of their seat to see if they were going to be in the game, and I'm glad to say that yes, chickens are confirmed for Halo Infinite. So from what I've seen, everyone really seems to be pumped to get their hands on Infinite, and the reaction from the community has, in large, been positive. However, there are some things that I have seen that have got me worried about Infinite's gameplay and really just how the Halo community as a whole is actually reacting to this gameplay. So in this video, I wanted to go over all the things that I've seen so far that have me worried. Now, of course, everything in this should be taken with a grain of salt because this is an in-progress game, so not everything that we've seen is final. And, you know, of course, even across the bottom of the screen, it says pre-release. So this is not the final build, and we really won't be able to cast our final judgments, so to speak, on how the gameplay feels until the Infinite flight that's coming later on this summer. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into what has me worried about Halo Infinite's multiplayer. So the first thing is sprint. Now, I know sprint is a hot topic amongst us here in the Halo community, and I fall in the train of thought that sprint does not break the game. I have really enjoyed all the Halo games, 1, 2, 3, Reach, 4, and 5. I've enjoyed them all, some more than others, but sprint really was not the main key decider that made me like other games more than the others. Just to let you know, like, my favorite multiplayers are really Halo 2, 3, and 5, which are all really vastly different in the way that they feel, but they do still have that core Halo gameplay that I really enjoy. So we, of course, know that sprint is making a return in Halo Infinite, but the thing that has me worried about it is at this point we don't know how the shield system is going to work in regards to sprint. Halo 5, in my opinion, had the best shield system where if you take damage and start sprinting, your shields won't regenerate until a few seconds after you stop sprinting, as opposed to Halo 4 and Reach where you could regenerate your shields while running away, which could make chasing down kills super frustrating. So I'm hoping that the system from Halo 5 is going to make a return, especially considering that in Infinite, it looks like you can actually reload while sprinting and actually shoot your gun immediately out of sprint. So that could actually make killing one-shot players even more frustrating if they run away, regen their shields, and now they have a full magazine ready to come right back at you. So as far as the reloading while sprinting and shooting immediately out of sprint goes, I've always enjoyed being able to do that stuff in other shooters like Battlefield. It just seems super fluid and responsive, but of course we'll have to wait until I can get my hands on Infinite to give my full opinion on that. But if we are, in fact, able to reload while sprinting and shoot immediately out of sprint, I really do think that the shield system from Halo 5 would really be a great way to balance that out. Now, the next thing that I'm worried about is the equipment. So we had equipment in Halo 3, and they were an interesting way to mix up the combat and have an interesting paradigm shift while you were in battle. But they can also be super annoying when you suddenly get energy drained and taken out instantly with a headshot, or when somebody would pop a bubble shield while standing in the hill with a shotgun. It can really at times just feel like you straight up just got cheated. Now, one of the biggest reasons for that is Halo 3's equipment had no way to tell if an enemy player already had equipment until they just deployed it on the map. Now, Infinite looks like they have remedied that aspect by giving visual indicators on enemy players, like the repulsor showing up on their forearm, and in general just being able to see the equipment attached to the enemy player's body to give you a heads up of what they may be trying to do. But the biggest worry about Infinite's equipment that I have is really the factor of just straight up chaos. In the trailer, there's a ton of stuff going on at all times, and yeah, it is cool to look at, but it can really just seem really chaotic. Like, you just don't know what to expect half the time. And I really don't know how I feel about the threat sensor. Like, okay, so going into Infinite, I was worried about whether or not we were going to have grenade hit markers, like being able to tell if somebody was behind a wall just by throwing a grenade and getting hit markers that way. But now we actually have a localized Promethean vision from Halo 4, essentially. I wasn't a huge fan of it in Halo 4, and I really don't think I'm going to be a fan of it here in Infinite. Like, is there any way to counter it? If I remember right, I think if you had camo in Halo 4, you could counter it. Maybe you could do that this time in Infinite, but I don't know, man. Just being able to straight up see enemies through walls like that just does not seem like something that would be fun. The repulsor is another one that I'm worried about. On one hand, it looks super fun and versatile, you know, being able to swat back rockets and plasma pistol bolts and being able to use it to do extra high jumps up to top mid and stuff like that. Seems like it's pretty cool. But on the other, if I get reverse noob comboed because somebody swats the plasma bolt back at me, or if they knock a rocket out into orbit that otherwise would have been a kill, like, I feel like that's just going to be annoying. And on top of that, it looks like you may be able to carry more than one piece of equipment at a time. Of course, in Halo 3, you could only have one piece of equipment on you. But if we look at the trailer, there are a couple of instances where it looks like the drop wall is able to be stacked in your inventory. We can see there's actually looks like drop walls that are interlaced with one another, like one laying right behind the other. And then another, we can see the player throw the drop wall down, but then he has another one still attached to his hip. So it just seems like there may be a bit too much of stuff in play at any given time. Maybe the limited uses of equipment will negate this issue, and hey, it might be super fun, but as of right now, I'm a bit worried about equipment. So let's talk about power-ups. So based on what we've seen, it looks like power-ups like camo and OS are essentially just going to be used like another piece of equipment. What I mean by that is there are items that you can pick up that are not automatically activated. You can just use them at any time you want to. And this is a huge change in the sandbox that a lot of people are worried about. So just right off the top, like, how are we going to know how to time power-up spawns now? Are they on a static or dynamic respawn timer? If it's static, can you stack multiple OS in your inventory like you can equipment? Or will the whole team be able to save their OS and everybody activate at the same time for a 4-player OS push on the flag? If it's a dynamic timer, does it start when the player picks it up? Or does it start when they actually activate it? So when it comes to power-ups, there are just a ton of questions that we just simply don't have any answers to at this time. And it has myself and a lot of other Halo players worried. Not to mention, it just adds another level of chaos to the match. So, I mean, imagine being in the middle of a gunfight and all of a sudden the guy just pops OS and now what do you do? So, I don't know, it just kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier in the video about feeling like you got cheated with the equipment back in Halo 3. Now, it does look like there may be visual indicators for players who are saving their power-ups, but I don't know. I still just really don't know how I feel about this change. And again, without actually getting our hands on the game itself, it's really hard to give a final opinion on it, but I'm worried. I am worried about power-ups. So the next thing that I'm worried about is customization. As far as the red versus blue Spartans going away, I'm totally okay with that. I actually really like being able to see your fully customized Spartan in battle, like in game, instead of just in the main menu or if you're in free-for-all. And I think having the red and blue outlines for enemies and teammates is perfectly fine. It's the customization of the color of the enemy outlines plus their base and flag colors that's got me a bit worried. I'm all for helping out people who have color blindness, and I think it's a great feature to have in the game. It's the callouts that really I feel like is going to be an issue. So, I mean, of course, for callouts, you can just say, hey, they're on our base or their base, but we know that not everybody's going to do that. So for color blindness purposes, I think it's great. But if we are able to customize enemy color outlines just for the sake of customizations and teammates start calling out, hey, he's one shot on brown base, things are going to get confusing, even more so if we start talking about multi-team. So it may not be an issue, but it might be an issue. So the next thing that's got me worried is the personal AI. The personal AI is in the multiplayer matches to help you capture objectives and give you updates throughout the match. And I still don't fully understand the purpose of having the personal AI other than just having something else that you can customize, which is fine. I mean, more customization is cool and all. I don't necessarily mind having the customizable announcer voices. I mean, I actually really thought that the Voices of War pack in Halo 5 was actually really cool, where you could actually choose to have Buck, a Grunt, or one of the monitors to be your announcer as opposed to Jeff Steitzer. So I think that's cool. I don't have an issue with the voices. The issue that I have is that the AIs actually physically pop up in front of you while you're in or near one of the objectives. And if that thing pops up and distracts me when I'm trying to grab an objective, or it like blocks my view when I'm in a gunfight, I'm bringing that thing back to Infinity for deletion. It's happening. I'm hoping that we'll have an option to just have the AI voice if we, don't want to really look at it in the game. And if they do that, everything's cool with me. So in the multiplayer overview, 343 mentions that they're going to be adding new modes after launch. And at first look, that sounds great. New modes, that's awesome. But that is only if they are actually new modes and not previous modes that are expected in a game at launch. So they did that with Halo 5, where Oddball and a lot of other game types like zombies were not in the game until months after launch, and they came back as quote-unquote free DLC. And the same thing happened with Forge. For Infinite, we still haven't seen anything on Forge. Joe Staten briefly mentions it in the multiplayer trailer, but other than that, we have not heard anything. And if I remember correctly, I think it was like a couple of days or like the day before Halo 5 released, 343 actually came out and said that Forge was not going to be there at launch. So I'm kind of worried that that is going to happen again here with Infinite. So if any of this has you worried, I strongly recommend that you sign up to be a Halo Insider so that you can play Infinite early this summer and give your feedback on the game before it launches this holiday, which is yet another worry, is that we don't actually have a solid release date yet, and that is, for lack of a better term, worrying. But that is going to do it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Are you worried about Infinite? Was there anything that I didn't mention that's got you worried? Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to stick around because I'm going to be making a video about stuff that I'm actually excited about Halo Infinite's multiplayer. Rapscallion out.